So I've already made FC26 wishlist for both gameplay and manager career mode. So it was inevitable that one for play career mode was going to come along before the official reveals from EA for FC26. So like in those videos, I'm going to go through point by point everything that EA could add into play career mode that would make it the best play career experience possible. We've already seen how much depth EA are capable of adding to this game mode because of what they did in the journey in such short time, developing that year after year. I don't see why that level of depth can't be in play career, but with the ability to create your own character and create your own story. So yeah, we have like 20 points here, but I'm going to go through them step by step from the most important down to the ones that are more for the future or the smaller features. But before I get into it, if you haven't watched any of those other wishlist videos, I do have a playlist on my channel with those, along with a load of other videos about ideas what to add into FC26. So if you do play FC26 or you're interested in any other football games, this channel should be for you. So go check those other videos out and subscribe while you're here as well. But yeah, let's just go through these step by step. I'll start with the most important and then end with some of the ones more for the future or the smaller features. So the first thing that EA need to fix in the game, not add, is player agent. Now, this is so frustrating. This kind of sums up EA in my opinion now. This was the kind of feature I was calling for years and years in play career mode. The number one thing they needed to add. When I used to play like the play career mode in pairs, the one feature that had it above FIFA at the time was the ability to go to any club in the world and just request a transfer there, and they'd either accept or reject you. That was way better than what we had in FIFA. So when they added player agent into the game with this kind of system, I thought this would change the game. But of course EA, they didn't test it properly, they added it into the game and it's completely broken. It messed up January and loan signings. That's just something of the past now, which is completely ridiculous. Not only that, but to go to the club that you want to join, some of the objectives are just completely stupid. Like you have to score like 10 overhead kick goals or something mad like that. It isn't just based off of your match rating, like if your form's generally good or your overall rating and things like that. What baffles me is even when this new feature was revealed, even the screenshots had these stupid objectives, and a lot of people were telling EA to change it before the release of the game. And yet here to this day, to my knowledge, this is still a massive issue in the game. So those three things, you need to fix January signings, loan signings, and also the objectives. To go with that as well, it affects staying at the club that you're at. So you could be really enjoying going on a journey with one club, and then you don't reach the stupid objectives in the game, you're going to get released from that club because you can only sign 1 year contracts. Who designed this feature, honestly? It was just so simple. I'll make another video about player agent, but yeah, you need to fix these things. Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. And to go off my final point there on player agent, having your own contract in the game is also something that I think we need as well. It's a really big thing with players in particular, trying to sign the right terms, the amount of years that you're at the club, what your wage is going to be, any sort of bonuses. And especially with the current system where you've got this yearly contract with stupid objectives, just get rid of that. Have it like we do in manager career, where the players can negotiate their contract with the manager, except we're the player. So we can go into the office, negotiate how many years we want and the wage and all the things I mentioned before. Also with this, the ability to run down the contract to become a free agent. Again, a lot of players do that in real life. Why can't you do like what Mbappe or Trent did and run a contract down and then go to basically any club in the world that you want to? Even if you're a world-class player, why can't you then request to go to like a small team if you want to and take like less wages? I feel like there should be a lot more versatility in the transfer aspect on player career mode. At the moment, it feels so rigid and difficult. Next up, we've got squad rankings. Now, this would be something that will affect how much playtime you get in the game. So this will be a feature within the game where you can actually go in the menu and see where you rank amongst your teammates in your manager's opinion. And this will also be position by position. So rather than you just having your own manager rating and that will just determine how much game time you get, there should be an element where it also takes into account your teammates. So if the whole team is playing badly and your form's not great, it doesn't mean that you should just never play, because if you're a striker and the other striker's playing worse than you, you should still play even if your form's not great, and vice versa. If you're playing pretty well but there's someone ahead of you in the pecking order that's just completely smashing it out the park, then you shouldn't play. Like, there should be an element of that in the game where it takes into account the overalls, the form, also like the personal relationship with the manager. That should all be taken into consideration. And that will be something that you can see. You'll be able to see like who's in front of you in the pecking order and what you've got to do to get more game time. Next up, we've got increased the save limit to 25 seasons. With this, it just makes sense. A lot of players have careers that go beyond 15 years, so I feel like that would be realistic, especially if you start a career at like 16, 17, you're not going to retire like in your early 30s. Like, that might happen on the rarest occasion, but generally I feel like 20, 25 years would be enough. And with that as well, be able to start your career at any age or ability. I feel like, yeah, you should be able to start your career at 30 years old if you want, at 16, whatever age, and then also set like how far like the skills matrix you are as well. So why can't I start my save as like a 30-year-old 60 rated player in like League 2? Why can't we do that? Also, why can't I start my save as like someone in their prime who's like in their 80s? potentially. Like I feel like this should be just versatility there to start the career however you want to start it. The next thing to talk about here is to speak to your manager. So like in manager career, you as a player should be able to go into your manager's office to talk about a number of topics. So for example, obviously handing in transfer and loan requests, being able to ask for more game time, ask to be rested for certain games. If you've got a good relationship with a manager and you don't want to play that midweek Carabao Cup game, that would obviously be something that maybe they can grant you. Or if you've got a bad relationship with a manager, it might make things worse by asking to be rested. You could be asked to be played into like a different position if you're not happy with where the manager's playing you. Obviously ask for contract renewals, which I mentioned before. And yeah, to go with all this, your manager rating should also be impacted by these conversations that you have as well. And also the rating should also affect, on the flip side, how well these conversations go and how much negotiating power that you have over these different situations. Another thing that will never go amiss in any FC game is going to be more customization. I think especially for player career mode, it's more important because of, you know, the style aspect and things. It's a bit more important when it comes to players rather than managers. So I want to see more modern hairstyles, beards and tattoos added into the game. Even if they include the ones from like real players that they've already scanned in the game, that would be something that would be decent. Also set things up in the profile of your player that could create storylines in the future. So you could set like your hometown, who your boyhood club is, your footballing icon. That could create like different storylines in the future of your career. Also have like clothing for outside of matches, so things that show in like cutscenes of things outside of football potentially. That might be something that EA could add in, like similar to the Volta clothing, I suppose. And we also have this in the journey. In terms of like footballing accessories, like headbands, classic boots, low socks, snoods, like sleeves as well, like things like this. A lot of these as well they have in pro clubs that they didn't add into career mode. So again, I'd like to see things like these ideas. Again, it just gives you a bit more versatility on what you want to do with your player. And to go with some of the things I mentioned there about clothes for outside of football, this will lead into the cutscenes aspect here. So there needs to be more cutscenes in play career mode. Make it like the journey. Honestly, do you know how many cutscenes they made for the journey for 3 years, and then they made them for Volta just to remove those from the game completely? And yet we barely got anything like that in career mode. So I've got no doubts with how many they were pumping out in those modes that they can't add a load into career mode to pop up in different situations. So I've got a few examples here of ideas. So like before your debut, like a bit of a build up there, or like when you're getting told that you're going to play for the first time, when you get like your first international call up, like that phone call from the international manager, returning to a boyhood club or a former club where you could get either a good or a bad reception based on like how you left the club potentially. Obviously for contract negotiations as well, more like cutscenes when you're signing for a club, like maybe you getting a medical, being interviewed at the club, meet all your teammates, you know, doing your first training session. Also a cutscene like when you're being made captain of the club. If you get like a bad injury, you can see you in like rehab and then anticipated return to games. Even stuff like the dressing room, like if your manager's getting sacked or if teammates leave or join, if there's like tension in the dressing room, if you're losing a few games. And of course, at the end of your career, there needs to be something around when you retire. Like the fact that there's barely anything there, also like just a cutscene or two, surely that can't be hard to add into the game. And the next feature is scan your face into the game. Again, like just something that is in other sporting games already, where on your phone you can just take a photo or scan your face and it'll go into the game for a more accurate picture on your player. Again, I feel like that would be like something that would really be beneficial. Next up, we've got Limitless Growth. So in like the stat tree on the game, there's like only so many different traits and stats that you can pick up. I don't get why it gets limited to a point why you can't go up to 99, or like I said before, start from whatever rating you want. I feel like that needs to be reworked a little bit and be able to develop like every single stat in the game. Next up, I've got interviews. So this could happen pre-match, post-match, or also media appearances outside of the games as well. So maybe like in different storylines, if there's like transfer speculation around you, or if something happened in your personal life, those like interviews that you get like documentaries or on Sky Sports, things like that, that would also be something that would be quite cool to have in the game. Again, this was in the journey. And also these answers could potentially impact your relationship with a manager or also with the media. Again, in the journey, you had like a meter where it showed you like your media reputation. Similar to the cutscenes and interview side of things, also dilemmas where you get like different cutscenes that pop up where you've got to make a decision that could set up different storylines in your career. So even if it's like outside of the football where you either decide to do one thing or the other, that could really like shape how like your career goes, and that would be like something interesting to do outside of the matches. Next up, I've got manager changes. I've already spoken about manager transfers in the past. But this would also affect player career. So obviously seeing cutscenes of like pressure building on the manager, maybe seeing speculation on social media, tension amongst the team, and then obviously seeing your manager say his goodbyes and then see the new manager come in. Also, like the manager rating that you have with the old manager would obviously then change going to the new one. Maybe it will reset. Maybe like the tactical system will change. That might impact how much game time you have or what position you play at the club. That could potentially impact positively or negatively your place at the club. Maybe before you wasn't getting a lot of game time, you had a bad relationship with the manager, but now this new guy's come in and that's completely reset and you've got a chance to prove your worth to the team. So yeah, that would obviously be the impact of manager transfers in player career mode. Also, going back to the squad rankings feature that I talked about, having squad rotation in the game would be great. So like I said, just a ranking system first and foremost as to who played basically in the more important games. But realistically, if you're the most important player at the club, you're still not going to play every single game. So if you're playing for a top club and you're playing all the big games, if they have a midweek game in the Carabao Cup against like a League 2 team, they're not going to risk injuries to their better players. So I want to see more rotation. On the flip side, if you're the reserve at a club, why do you sit in the reserves the entire time? Why not in pre-season in those smaller cup games? Why can't that mean that you get more of an opportunity? I think there needs to be a bit more rotation. Next up, I got Lifestyle Store. So basically, this is something for more further down the line. This isn't as essential as these other features I've got, but with the money that you do earn for your wages, it'd be cool to see like being able to spend that on properties, vehicles, clothes, and basically then maybe these assets are shown like in the menu, in like cutscenes and things. Like you can see your player like in the house when things are happening. Even if further down the line they make like an open world, it'd be cool to like walk around your house, I guess. But again, I must stress this is for further down the line when they get all the basics right in the game. Next up, we've got sponsorships. Again, something to earn more money and build like a reputation in the football world. If you sign up to be like an endorser of a brand, it'd be cool then to get like additional cutscenes, like you know, like doing adverts or wearing different clothing. And if you're part of a clothing brand, also if you sign to like Adidas or Nike, it means that you can only use their boots in the game, for example. So I think little things like this again would just add a little bit more depth to the game. Another little feature that I liked in the journey was the current location feature in the menu. As the story progressed in your career, you could see where in the world you were at any point. So obviously different things happen. Obviously when you're traveling around playing different games, it will just show you like where you're traveling to. And also if you have like another storyline outside of the football, again, it will just show you like as you travel around the place. And I like that feature. Media reputation, I've already kind of talked about it in the interviews side of things, but just like a bar where you can see like where you stand amongst the media, and again that might cause more pressure on social media. If you've got a bad reputation, they're more likely to speculate about you and the things that you do off the field. And then obviously on the flip side, if you've got a good reputation, you'll get more love from media and more positive stories. And talking about media and speculation, I also want to see like drama around transfers. When you see like transfer rumours, it's just like the same generic tweets on social media. I actually want to see like the manager rating go up or down depending on if you're showing loyalty or if you're trying to get out of the club. If like a top club comes in for you and you reject the offer, why can't that impact like the manager rating? Why can't the fans on social media be like showing their appreciation for you when you have showed like a lot of loyalty to the club? On the flip side, why can't you like try and force a move, you know, refuse to go to training, refuse to play, try and force your way out of the club? And then again, that will completely ruin your manager rating. It will mean that you're getting stick on social media from fans, but then it might mean that you're more likely to get the move that you want out of the club. And then like I said earlier in the video, then if you go back to that club, you could get booed for leaving on a bad note. Next up, I got improved playable highlights. I think everyone's forgotten about this new feature that they added a few years ago, but this actually had a lot of potential to be good for player career mode, that you just play like the attacking highlights of a game instead of standing around on the halfway line watching your defenders defend without the ball. It would actually kill a lot of time and keep the game mode from being boring. But it was so broken, like some of the scenarios that came up were just completely like all over the place. So I think playable highlights does have a place in the game, but I feel like everyone's forgotten about it. EA aren't really bothered about fixing it, and it's just kind of there. But I think this could be something really good for player career mode if the scenarios were a bit more natural. Another thing that's more for depth and maybe a bit more further down the line for EA to prioritise when they've actually got a good base for player career modes would be academy games. We've already got like rush games for the academy, so why, if you're like an under 21 player, why can't you work your way up to get a first team appearance or a loan move potentially? Like I said, we have the rush games, even that would be something, but if we could get 11v11 games with just like generic academy players, that would be like a nice feature. But again, probably further down the line. Another really small one would be like search for players in the menu. Like if you want to see like where certain players have gone in your career, like if a player that has left your team, for example, you can't actually see any of this in the menu, which feels a little bit silly to me. The next thing I got is planned retirement. So I already spoke about retirement and getting cutscenes and things, but why can't you set a date to retire so that there is like an actual build up? You know, you've announced it and there's kind of like a countdown, and then when your last game does come along, it is actually out there then, and that gives the opportunity for there to be cutscenes on that day. And then obviously a send off at the end when the game finishes or when you leave the pitch. And then also like the opportunity to like reverse your decision, maybe come out of retirement. Again, like a bit more flexibility would be cool. And the last point I've got is free roam, and I put here something for later games, but like I mentioned with the lifestyle store, like walking around your home, like your garage, if you've got like, you can see like your cars, the training ground, and then maybe like your local town, going to stores and things. Notice how this is the very last thing on my list, and yet this is something that EA are trying to prioritize currently. So it is on the list. I think this could be okay for player career mode, but ultimately I think it's very far down there. There's a lot of other things that need to be improved. But yeah, the overall message I have on this video is kind of just mix the journey with play career mode. The thing I didn't like about the journey was that it was just a planned story. Everyone who played it had the same things happen. I would like for play career mode to be more versatile, for there to be a ton of cutscenes that just pop up intermittently when a certain scenario happens in your career. In theory, there should be loads of cutscenes that you don't even see in your career because it's for storylines that don't actually happen in the journey that you're going through. But yeah, that is all the features I've got for play career mode. It's not as long as my manager career mode list, but there's still quite a few things to add. I'd rather EA prioritize the manager side of things, but I think there's a few things each year that EA could add to play career mode that would make it a lot better. But yeah, certainly fixing player agent and then having your own contract, that should be like the main priorities for EA with this particular game mode. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like. Let me know in the comments which features you most want to see in play career mode. Is it something that you even play, or if all these things were to be added into the game, would you then want to start a save as a player? Of course, subscribe if you haven't already. I've got more videos on the channel around FC26 and other football games, so feel free to check those out. We're over halfway to 1,000 subscribers now, so I'm hoping to reach that goal very, very soon. So any support that I do get on the channel, I really appreciate. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.